You are watching your wife put back a jar of pasta sauce because it costs $1.20 more than the other one. You have $500 million. She does not know. The checking account she watches, the one she moved $200 into last Tuesday to cover a water bill that has $11,400 in it. The account she has never seen, the one managed by people she has never met, in a bank whose name she would not recognize, that one makes $41,000 a day in interest. You earned more standing in this checkout line than everything she thinks you have. She turns to you and says, "We should probably eat at home more this month." And you say, "Yeah, probably. But here is the thing. You did not stumble into this lie. You engineered it. You ran the numbers on your own marriage, decided exactly how much money she could know about without it changing who you are to her. And you have been performing that version of yourself every single day for 3 years. The second phone, the locked drawer, the Honda Accord you drive on purpose, all of it, carefully built to keep her looking at the 11,000 instead of the 500 million. And it is about to fall apart. Not slowly, not with a hint or a suspicion. With an envelope, on a kitchen counter, on a Wednesday morning, while she is holding a cup of coffee. The money arrived 3 years ago. Not inherited, not won. Built through a tech company you co-founded in 2014 with a college friend named Marcus, developed from a laptop at your kitchen table while she was at work, and sold in 2021 for a number that required 11 lawyers to process. Marcus took his half, moved to Austin, bought a house on a lake. His wife knows everything. He once asked why yours does not. You changed the subject and did not call him for 2 weeks. She knew about the company. She used to bring you coffee while you coded at midnight. She watched you build it for 7 years. She thought it sold for $2.1 million. The actual sale price was $340 million before taxes. After capital gains optimization, after the creation of a revocable trust, after the establishment of a family office she does not know exists, the liquid number that settled into a private wealth account was $287 million. 3 years of compounding at 8.2% annually, reinvestment into commercial real estate across 4 states, and strategic positions in timber, logistics, and municipal bonds brought it to $500 million. In an account linked to a phone she has never held, managed by people whose names she has never heard, growing at a rate of approximately $41,000 per day. You told her 2.1 million because that was the number that would not change things. You calculated it the way you once calculated product market fit modeling outcomes, minimizing disruption, testing thresholds. 2.1 million, after taxes, is enough to pay off the mortgage, start a college fund, and still feel like you both need to keep working. It is the number that preserves the daily structure of the marriage. Above 5 million, she would want a financial advisor who would ask questions you cannot answer in front of her. Above 10 million, she would tell her mother. Above 50 million, you would become different people in the eyes of everyone you know. You were not guessing. You modeled your own marriage the way a quant models a portfolio, optimizing for the outcome that looks most like the status quo. The 2.1 million paid off the mortgage. She cried at the kitchen table, the same table where you built the company, the same table where she will eventually read a very different number on a very different piece of paper. You held her. You told her you were proud of what you had built together. That was the last fully honest moment in your marriage. You kept your job. She kept hers. The checking account stayed in its usual range between $9,000 and $13,000, depending on whether the car insurance or the kids' school fees hit first. The private wealth account added a new comma roughly every 14 months. You did not think about the word eventually. You thought about tomorrow. Tomorrow she would check the checking account, see a number that made sense, and the architecture would hold for one more day. The architecture has held for 1,095 days. Every one of them borrowed. Hiding $500 million is not a single decision. It is a daily infrastructure. You have a second phone, a prepaid device, purchased with cash from a convenience store on a Tuesday afternoon, kept in a locked drawer in your home office. The family office calls it, your wealth advisor calls it, your tax attorney calls it. Your wife has never opened that drawer. You bought the lock the same week the sale closed, a $34 deadbolt latch from a hardware store 3 towns over. She has never asked about it. You have a contingency explanation prepared. Old work files? Tax documents? Nothing interesting that you have never needed to use. The lock cost $34. It is the most consequential purchase you have ever made, and it is the cheapest. The family office manages the invisible life. Real estate holdings in 4 states, apartments in Austin, generating $2.4 million in annual net operating income. A warehouse outside Atlanta, a mixed-use development in Denver projected to return 3.2x on $28 million, a commercial lot in Scottsdale. A timber position in the Pacific Northwest worth $14 million. None of it in your name directly. It is held through a Delaware LLC, owned by a trust, administered by a trustee in Connecticut, who has never met your wife. You drive a 2019 Honda Accord. She drives a 2021 Toyota RAV4. The Accord is deliberate. You chose it because it is the car a person making $185,000 a year would drive. Every visible object in your life has been calibrated to that income. The furniture, the vacations, the restaurants you suggest, the school the kids attend. You once declined a vacation to Hawaii because accepting would require explaining where the extra $4,000 came from without disrupting the budget she tracks on a shared spreadsheet. She was disappointed. You said it was a timing thing. It was a consistency thing. You almost got caught once. A letter from the family office was delivered to your home address instead of the P.O. box. You saw it in the mail pile while she was 3 feet away putting groceries into the refrigerator. You took it to the bathroom. A quarterly summary showing total assets at $463 million. Your heart rate did not return to normal for 3 hours. You shredded the letter at work the next morning and called the family office to confirm the mailing address. The woman on the phone apologized. She said it would not happen again. 3 months later, during a fight about money, the ordinary kind, the kind where someone says something honest because they are tired, she said, "I just wish we had a little more breathing room." You were worth $487 million that day. She wanted maybe $500 more per month. The distance between what she wished for and what you had was not a gap, it was a continent. And somewhere on that continent, a document was already forming that would eventually land on the counter between you. You did not think about that yet. You stood on your side and said nothing. You do spend the money. She just never sees it. A membership at a private health clinic 2 hours away, full-body MRI, advanced lipid panels, cardiac calcium scoring, $8,500 per visit. The results go to the second phone. She thinks you go to the same GP she does, the one with the 6-week wait and 15-minute appointments. You stopped going there when the private clinic caught a thyroid irregularity the GP's standard panel would have missed for 2 years. You fly business class on work trips. She thinks you fly economy. You told her the company upgraded you once, and she was happy for you, genuinely happy. The way a person is happy when the system works briefly in your favor. The company did not upgrade you. You bought the ticket from the invisible account because 14 hours in economy felt like a cost you no longer needed to pay. The guilt lasted until the meal service arrived. The ticket cost $9,400. You bought your mother a house, a 3-bedroom ranch outside Charlotte, $380,000. You told your wife it was a reverse mortgage through a federal program. Your mother knows the full truth. She is the only person outside the professional circle who does. She asked you once, on a Sunday phone call, in a voice that was careful, "Does Sarah know?" You said, "Not yet." That was 2 years ago. "Not yet" has become a permanent tense in your vocabulary. It sits alongside "someday" and "when the time is right," phrases that describe a future you have no intention of reaching. Your mother has not asked again. She does not need to. The question is still in the room every time you call. The real engine is commercial real estate. The Austin apartments generate $2.4 million a year in net operating income. The Denver development is projected to return 3.2x within 5 years. Your net worth increases by roughly $185,000 every 36 hours. That is your entire visible annual salary, earned in a day and a half by money that does not know your name. One evening, your wife checks the joint account on her phone. She says, "We're doing okay this month." Your net worth crossed $500 million that afternoon, while you were reviewing quarterly projections at your day job. You say, "Yeah, we're doing fine." The checking account has $11,400. It always has around $11,400. 7 people know about the money. Your mother, your tax attorney, your wealth advisor, the family office manager, the trustee in Connecticut, the financial planner who built the original structure, and a therapist you see every 2 weeks. 40 minutes from your house, far enough that no one from your neighborhood would recognize your car. You pay her $350 per session in cash. No insurance claim, no paper trail. The therapist is the only person who has heard you say the full sentence. I am lying to my wife about $500 million. The first time, the words sounded like someone else's confession. She did not react. She asked, "What are you afraid will happen if she finds out?" You gave 5 answers without pausing. She will feel betrayed. She will question every decision we made together. She will tell her family. Her family will treat me differently. And the marriage will become about the money instead of about us. 5 fears. None about money. All about what money reveals. The therapist wrote something down. Then she said, "So the money is protecting the marriage by threatening it." You did not respond. You had 22 minutes left in the session. You spent them talking about your daughter's school schedule. Your wealth advisor said something different during a quarterly review, a conference room on the 19th floor of a building your wife has never entered. The portfolio had outperformed its benchmark by 340 basis points. Then he paused. The longer the disclosure is delayed, the more the non-disclosure itself becomes the issue. At a certain point, the amount is secondary. The duration is the problem. 3 years of silence is not a financial strategy. It is a character description. The money did not make you this person. The silence did. And silence compounds the same way interest does invisibly, automatically, in a direction you cannot reverse without cost. You drive home. The route takes you past the grocery store. Your wife texts, "Can you grab milk?" You stop. You buy the milk. You stand in the checkout line. The pasta sauce she picked last week is on sale. $3.49. You notice the price the way someone notices a crack in a wall they cannot stop staring at. The checking account has $11,200. $200 less than last week. The invisible account gained more today than the checking account has held in the past 3 months combined. The first real crack appears on a Tuesday, 3.5 years after the sale. Your wife finds a receipt in your jacket pocket while hanging it in the closet. Not from the family office, from a restaurant. A lunch meeting with your wealth advisor at a place that charges $180 per person for the tasting menu. She holds the receipt and says, "Where's this?" You say, "Work lunch, client meeting." She looks at the receipt again. $180 a plate? You say, "They picked the place." She folds the receipt and sets it on the kitchen counter. She does not throw it away. You notice. 2 weeks later, she brings it up again. Not directly obliquely, the way a person touches a bruise to see if it still hurts. During dinner, she says, "You've been eating well at work lately." The tone is light. The observation is not. You understand she has filed this somewhere in the architecture of her attention. She is not investigating. She is noticing. Investigation can be managed. Noticing cannot. Your behavior starts changing in ways you do not fully control. You leave the second phone at the office instead of the locked drawer. You pay for things in cash. More often, cash leaves no digital trail she might see on a shared screen. You delete browser history after checking the trust's performance dashboard at 11 p.m. while she slept. You realize, lying beside her at 2 a.m., that you have begun optimizing against your wife the way you once optimized against market competitors. Identifying her patterns, managing her data environment. This realization does not make you stop. It makes you more precise. She asks you one evening, kids in bed, house quiet. She is leaning against the kitchen counter, the same counter where, in a few months, you will set a manila envelope that changes everything, and she says, "Are you happy?" The question is genuine. It carries no accusation, no angle. She is looking at you the way she looked at you before the $500 million, before the locked drawer, before the second phone and the $34 deadbolt, and the therapist 40 minutes away. She is looking at you as if you are the person she married. You say, "Yes. This is the most expensive lie you have ever told. It cost nothing." That night, you cannot sleep. At 2 a.m., you walk to the bathroom, close the door, turn the screen brightness to minimum. You open the banking app on the second phone. The balance reads $502,341,000. It has grown since you last checked. It grows while you stand in the bathroom. It grows while she is sleeping 10 feet away in a bed you share. In a house the mortgage was paid off 3 years ago with money she thought was everything there was. The money does not need you to be awake. It does not need you at all. You decide to tell her. The decision exists as a committed intention for exactly 11 days. During those 11 days, You draft 3 versions of the conversation in a notes app on the second phone, the only place she will never find. Script 1 is clinical. Sale price, restructuring, trust, current value. You read it back. It sounds like a man explaining a crime without using the word. Script 2 is emotional. It starts with, "I need to tell you something I should have told you 3 years ago." The opening is honest. Every paragraph after it sounds like either a confession or an excuse, and the distance between those two is smaller than you thought. Script 3 is 8 words. "The company sold for more than I told you. A lot more." You stare at them for 10 minutes. They are accurate. They are also the sentence that ends whatever your marriage currently is. None of them feel right. Every version requires her to process 2 things simultaneously: the money and the lie. The lie is always louder. You choose a Saturday. Kids at her mother's house. You sit at the kitchen table. She is making coffee. You have rehearsed script 2 in the car. You open your mouth. She says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. My sister's husband lost his job last week. They're really struggling. Mom might need to help them with rent." You close your mouth. She pours the coffee. She sits down at the same table where she cried when you told her $2.1 million paid off the mortgage. She says, "It makes me grateful we're stable. We're not rich, but we're okay." She says, "We're not rich," with a kind of peace that has its own mass. You are worth $500 million. She is grateful you are not rich, but okay. Her contentment is the lock on the door you were about to open. You do not tell her that Saturday, or the next one. The scripts stay in the notes app. You stop opening them after a month. The intention to tell her does not die. It calcifies. It joins "not yet" and "when the time is right," words that describe a future you have stopped building toward. The financial future compounds at 8.2%. The emotional one compounds in silence, in distance, in the growing weight of every sentence you do not say. By year 4, the effects are measurable. Your therapist has a clinical term for it: compartmentalized living. The ability to exist fully inside 2 separate realities without visible contradiction. At work, you pack lunch in a brown bag, refill your water bottle at the cooler, and sit in meetings about quarterly revenue targets that are a rounding error on your invisible net worth. At the family office quarterly meeting, 40 minutes across town, you review a 42-page portfolio summary that includes a 40% stake in a Scottsdale mixed-use development valued at $90 million and a timber position that appreciated 11% in the past fiscal year. You do both in the same week. You wear the same shoes to both buildings. Neither reality feels more real than the other. Your relationship with money has inverted. The visible expenses, the water bill, the grocery run, your daughter's ballet class at $340 per semester carry more emotional weight than the invisible ones. You know the price of a gallon of milk at 2 different stores. You do not know, without opening the app, the current yield on your municipal bond allocation. It is approximately $2.3 million per year. The small numbers feel like your life. The large numbers feel like weather present, constant, too vast for human response. You have become a person who compares pasta sauce prices and ignores the price of a building. You have stopped planning for the future. Normal people plan because the future is uncertain. Yours is not. The $500 million, conservatively managed, generates more annually than your visible household will spend across every remaining year of your life combined. Your children's grandchildren are financially secure. This should feel like freedom. It feels like the absence of a reason to move forward. You go to work every day not for the salary, but for the performance. The brown bag lunch is not frugality. It is a costume. Your wife plans a family vacation. A rental cabin in the Smoky Mountains. She spends 3 weeks comparing listings, reading reviews, checking cancellation policies. She finds a deal $1,100 for 4 nights. She shows you the listing on her phone with the specific pride of someone who has solved a small, real problem well. You could buy the cabin, you could buy the mountain it sits on, and the company that lists it. You say, "That looks perfect." You mean it. The cabin is perfect. Her excitement is real. The performance of responding to it is not. This is when you begin to understand what your therapist has been circling for 14 months. The money is not the problem. The money was never the problem. The problem is that you have built a version of yourself that can only survive as long as she does not know the truth. The $185,000 a year husband who drives a Honda Accord and packs brown bag lunches and compares pasta sauce prices at the grocery store. That is the person she care. Married. If she reads the number on the family office statement, that person ceases to exist in the time it takes to finish a sentence. And you do not know what replaces him. You are not hiding money from your wife. You are hiding a self. On a Wednesday morning, 5 years after the sale, you sit in your car in the driveway for 11 minutes before going inside. On the passenger seat is a manila envelope. Inside it is a single page, a summary statement from the family office. Current total assets, $511,340,000. The number crossed $500 million sometime last quarter. It crossed it the way a river crosses a property line silently, without ceremony. You pick up the envelope. You walk inside. She is in the kitchen. Kids at school. The house has the silence of a weekday morning. Not peaceful, just empty of distraction. She is standing at the counter with coffee. You set the envelope on the counter between you. The same counter where she set the receipt. The same counter where she asked if you were happy. What's that? 3 seconds of silence. Inside those 3 seconds, the entire architecture, the locked drawer, the $34 deadbolt, the second phone, the Honda Accord, the P.O. box, the therapist 40 minutes away, the declined Hawaii vacation, the rehearsed scripts you never delivered, the 1,825 days of performed normalcy balances on the edge of a sentence. Plus, I need to show you something. She picks up the envelope, opens it, reads the number. The silence that follows is not understanding. It is the sound of a world rearranging itself around a fact that was always there and never visible. She reads it again, looks up. The expression is not anger. Not yet. It is the face of a person told the room has a different floor plan than the one she memorized. How long? 5 years. She sets the paper on the counter, does not pick it up again. Her phone is lying next to the statement. The checking account app is open on the screen. 11,400 on the left. 511,340,000 on the right. 2 numbers. 1 marriage. The distance between them is not measured in dollars. It is measured in years, 5 years of comparing pasta sauce prices with someone who did not know, 5 years of packing brown bag lunches that were costumes, 5 years of saying we're doing fine, in a voice calibrated to sound true. The pasta sauce, the Honda, the cabin in the Smoky Mountains, the coffee she is holding. All of it was real. None of it was the whole story. The checking account has $11,400. It has always had around $11,400. That was never the balance. It was the lie. If this one stayed with you, like and subscribe for more.